Hey all, this is Omer Ashano, jazz violinist from Israel, who's based in New York City for the past 4 years. Um, we're going live with night practice session number 2. Let's wait a couple of minutes for friends to tune in. So hello Goran and Andre, I hope I'm pronouncing people's names right. And hello Maria and Lucy. Hello all. I got some nice elevator music here to soothe us in the waiting room. All right. It's kind of sad that I put on this elevator music playlist and all the music here is basically bossa nova. So I don't know. Do you also find it insulting that bossa nova is tagged as elevator music? It's not like bad bossa nova music. I mean, if it was bad bossa nova music, then I get why it's elevator music. But this is actually kind of like, they're good stuff here. This is like Antonio Jobim now playing. Wave. I don't know if you hear it. Hello, hey man. All right. And Davide, good to see everyone here. Congrats. Hello, Brett. Congrats to my American friends, which I assume all of them are liberals. So that's why I assume I should congratulate you. If I have any conservative friends among my friends, sorry for your loss. But it is a happy day for the United States, in my opinion. All right. So yeah, as I said, hey, Tom from Argentina. Ciao, Masa, Saverio. Good to see you guys. Okay, so again, this is right, Anis O'Neill strings from Nigeria. Good to see you, man. So again, this is a night practice session number 2. I think I'm gonna do this weekly every Saturday now. Yeah, I'm just doing my practice routine basically. Hello Ismael, hola. I have one of my good friends lives in Lima now. I hope things are okay there. So yeah, I'm just basically sharing with you guys my my practice routine, and you get to ask questions along the way. I just figure that, you know, I don't have a lot of time to practice, so if I can get some more practice time and communicate with followers, this is a good combination of the two, and I get to learn and you get to learn, so that's a good deal, I think. So if along the way you have any questions regarding what I'm doing, how would I approach something, any subject regarding violin, or hello Anneke, and in any subject regarding violin, improvisation, jazz, blues, whatever. So you're welcome to ask questions and make suggestions, and hopefully you'll get some value out of this, and you're welcome to join along and practice with me, and hope you get to learn some stuff. So let's start, I think. So let's start with just with something pretty basic. I like Shalom Winkler, Shabbat Shalom. I I like starting with simple stuff that are more violinist technique oriented, and then later on do some improvisation stuff. So I thought for today an exercise we could do last week. Alan Daniel, shalom. So last week what we did is we started off from working with the tanpura and basically doing some intonation exercises. Just playing a scale. The tanpura is an Indian bass instrument, and some of you might know it. If like any of my students are here, they definitely know about the instrument because I highly recommend using it, and facilitating that into your practice. So basically, it's a very resonant bass instrument that is used in Indian music, and they practice with it a lot. Practice singing with it, and in this way, basically improve their intonation on singing or on their instrument. So that's what we did. That's how we started our session last week. So this week I think I'm going to do some rhythm exercise that is also coming from Indian tradition actually. What we're gonna do is a metronome exercise where we're gonna try and shalom orit. We're gonna try and divide one beat into basically subdivided into 7 subdivisions until we hit 8 again. So 8 16th notes basically. So yeah, first we're just gonna try and hit just each metronome beat, and then we're gonna try and divide that beat into 2, and then try to divide it into 3, and then into 4, and then 5 and 6 and 7, and then 8. So I haven't done this for a while, so let's see how it goes. And first we're gonna start just by trying to sing it. So a lot of my again, if there are any students of mine here, they probably know that I'm a big advocate of practice singing, or just doing something with your body before you actually get to try and do that with the instrument, because playing violin is freaking hard. So there's no really point in trying to understand a new subject and comprehend a new subject on the instrument, which is so hard, before you make sure that you're actually getting it, that you're actually understanding it, that you're able to perform it with the easiest instrument that we all have, which is our body and our voice. So we start off with that, and then once we see that we're able to control that in singing or tapping or whatever, then we can move on and try that on the violin. So let's put on a metronome on a very, very slow tempo. Now, please let me know, hello Bruno, please let me know if you hear the metronome well enough, okay, once I start it. Let's start a new project. So, hello Germano and Monica. Can you hear the metronome well enough? Like if I... Great. Okay, so this is not easy. This is metronome on 35 BPM. This is already kind of challenging for whoever of you that is not practicing often with metronome and practicing slower, bigger beats. I highly recommend that. Okay, this is very important for something that I like to call rhythmic responsibility, which is, I think, a kind of sense that that we have in us. Also with intonation, basically, I think of it as responsibility for keeping intonation, and responsibility for keeping time as well. So it's kind of sense that we have to develop, and working with slower tempos really helps develop this sense of rhythmic responsibility, because we don't have a constant beat or constant drum beat that shows us where is every eighth note or every quarter note. Now we just have, like, we can think of it as a beginning of a beat, right? And then we have to beginning of a bar, excuse me, and then we have to fill in all the rest and just try to subdivide it in our mind and be very focused. It takes a lot of work, but eventually you're able to expand the distance between each beat that that you're practicing. Cześć, Ella. So yeah, so I guess most of you guys will probably be able to tap along 50 BPM, but then when you go down below that, it gets pretty complicated, and you need to practice it often. But the more you practice it, the more you'll be able, like, the farther beats you'll be able to comprehend, and your brain will be able to kind of perceive them as one bar. Okay, so 35 is still slightly challenging for me, but there are people, there are drummers that can go even lower than that. I saw people doing these kind of exercises with 15 BPM. Okay, so now we're doing the one subdivision, basically. I'm just hitting the downbeat of the bar. Now I want to try and subdivide it into two. Two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Okay, so now we're gonna try and subdivide it into three. Okay, now I'm breaking it up, but eventually what we would want to do is do the transition between all the subdivisions without stopping, which is the hardest part. So now we're dividing it into three. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Next is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tack it, 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 tack it. Okay, so you can try and create the beat in whatever way you want. You can do it by voice, you can do it by started by snapping, you can do it by snapping, you can do it by clapping. Anything that you feel that it is easy. And most importantly, anything that is articulated. It's very important that first when I started singing, I realized that I'm actually not articulating my numbers that well, and that kind of, it helps you kind of cover up for rhythmic inaccuracies. So I would really recommend to try and sing a very articulate and short syllables, that, and in this way you can really tell if you're on time or not on time. Takete 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 takete. That's correct, Tomasz. Next is 6. Takete, 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 takete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Takete, 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 takete. The last one wasn't as stable. Let's try again. 6. And again, don't rush with any of these exercises. Just give yourself time and give yourself time to listen. Takete, 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 tak. 7. So I'm gonna do the 7. Hey Joao, really? Every day for breakfast with the coffee. Ravini! Shalom Ravini. Okay, 7. So when we do basically when we do the different subdivisions, we also have to think about what clave we want to do the subdivision, right? Because a 7, the 7, for example, we can divide that those 7 beats in many different manners. The most popular ones are 2 2 3 or 3 2 2. Okay, so 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. That's one version, or 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. Let's do the 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 clave. One two one two 1 2 3 1 2. Haven't listened enough. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 take 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 Okay, and we're at 8. Take 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 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. All right, so now let's try and move between the yeah, it's freaking hard. So now let's try and move between the different subdivisions without stopping. So let's say we'll give two bars, basically. Each click is a new bar. So let's do 2 bars for each subdivision and move on to the next subdivision. See if we're able to do that. One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, take, 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 take. Okay, that wasn't that stable. I also think like probably need more, like maybe 4 bars for each subdivision, just so we have time to sink into that new subdivision and make sure it's really in good touch with the metronome. Da, 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 da. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That wasn't good. So we don't move on, right? We gotta fix the transition. That was a lame transition between the 2 and the 3. So let's work it. 1, da, 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 da. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Taka, 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 ta, taka, taka, ta, taka, taka, ta, taka, taka, ta, taka. Let's do 4 to 5. Taka, 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 ta, taka, taka, ta, taka, taka, ta, taka, taka, ta, taka, 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 taka. Taka ta 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me take a breath. We're at 5. Taka ta taka taka ta taka taka ta taka taka ta taka 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 ta 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 ta. Okay. Now let's try and do two bars for each subdivision, and see if I'm able to do all the ascend, at least all the ascend in one breath without stopping because I'm out of air. Maybe if I... Let's try and clap. Oh. No more project. Okay. Okay, here we go. That was bad. So in the 6, I kind of lost it. So let's do from 6 and keep going down. Four, 5, 6. 5. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. I'm not focused. Let's go from 5. Keep going down. 4, 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Okay. Let's take the violin. Let's try and do that with the violin. Lo, Ania. I'm doing 4 of each subdivision. Five, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5. So let's do the transition between 6 and 5 again. That was kind of not very stable. Six, 5, 4. Let's go from 5 to 4. 4, 3. Let's move from 4 to 3 again. Two, 1. Okay. So there's much more work to be done for this. For me, I don't know about you. Maybe you guys did good. So yeah, in my level, I would put actually more time into practicing the singing part of it, and only then would approach the violin. Eventually I was able to do the transitions, some of the transitions well enough on the violin, but it's not good enough. The fact that that I'm still hello Thiago, the fact that I'm still stopping between the subdivisions and still not able to seamlessly complete a whole round of going up the subdivisions and then doing the descending version of the subdivisions means that I need to do more work. Also singing and also violin. But I drilled your brain enough for tonight with this, so let's do something else. Now let's see, is Andrea here? No, Andrea is not here. Too bad. She was asking about playing chords with the violin. So I explained to her that we can't really play chords with the violin. Best thing we can do is play double stops. There are people that, you could say that you can play a chord out of the 4 strings if you kind of break it up. You just do a very quick sweep of the bow all throughout 4 strings. But it's very limited. It's not being played together as a chord. It's still broken up as just a very quick arpeggio. And it's very, very hard to do so if we want to try and actually play, do accompaniment for a player. If we're in a session and we're playing with someone and we want to accompany him by expressing the chords basically on the instrument, it would be very hard and also won't sound that good because it's very high on dynamics to try and play a full chord on the violin, like doing. So a better way to approach it would just be to play double stops and try to emphasize notes from the chord that are really defining the chord. Hello, Jonathan. So usually when you a common voicing of a piano player would be to play 1/5 of the chord with his left hand and then 3 and 7 with his right hand, and doing different inversions of the 3 and 7. So sometimes it would be 7/3 and sometimes it would be 3 and 7. Talking about the degrees of the chord. What we can do with the violin is try to create accompaniment that is based off of the 3 and 7 degrees of the chord, and that would really give a nice color of the sound. We can also do very interesting voice leadings with these 2 voices of the chord, and it won't sound too classical. Now, I hear a lot of violinists that do accompaniment in their playing, but many times I'll take more like classical violinistic kind of double stops. So they emphasize, let's say, the 1 and the 3 of the chord, or the 1 and 5th, and it works. But it's also it's not as hip, it's not as interesting, in my opinion. Like, you could really bring out the beauty of seventh chords, and the beauty of the different tensions, if you know how to work with the tensions of the chord rather than take the root. So this is hard. Like, you really need to nail down the changes, the chord changes of whatever tune you're playing, if you want to do that, and really have a good familiarity with the instrument, with the neck. And when you think about a chord, you immediately know where's the third and where's the seventh degree of it, and in what way you can play them together. Let's take, for example, I can take a common voice leading that they do in piano is basically so playing 3 and 7 of the let's say we're in 2-5 progression. Okay, we have a 2 minor 5 dominant progression into resolving into a tonic. So let's say we're doing D minor 7, G7, resolving to C major 7. So what we can do is take the 3rd and the 7th of D minor 7, which would be F natural and C natural, and then voice lead the 7th of D minor 7 to B, which would be the 1 of which would be the 3rd of G, okay, of G7, and then the F is the 7th of G. So so we're taking, again, it's we basically swap between, we first play the 3 and the 7 of D minor, and then we played the 7th and the 3 of G7. So let me just sing the bass line for you. Shabbat Shalom, Ori. Let me sing the bass line for you so it's more clear. And then we can do so we resolve that G7 into the C major, which is I resolve it basically to E natural and B natural, which would be the 3rd and the major 7th of C major 7. So we have 3-7 of D minor, 7-3 of G7, and 3-7 of C major. Da, da, da. Okay, so that's a very interesting voicing. So what I would do with that is just try and practice it in, like, we can practice it in going down whole steps. We can practice that around the circle of fifth. So now let's say I'm going down whole steps. Let's do a little bossa nova inspired rhythm. Okay, so now we resolve that 7th of the C major into 6th of C major. the second sequence was basically the 3/7 of C minor 7, then 7/3 no, excuse me, that was 3 and 7 of C minor, and 7/3 of F7, and then 3 and 7 of B flat major 7. Ba, 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 ba. And we can also resolve that, take that 7 into the 6th. Okay, so now that was just this 3/7 3/7 voice leading, going down whole steps. We can do that over the circle of fifth, which would be a little more complicated. Let's put on a backing track for that, and then you can hear the bass line, and that would help you understand what is that, what degrees I'm emphasizing basically. That is loud. All right. Okay, so let's try and practice this. Hello. Good to see you guys. So yeah, what I'm doing basically is working on some violin accompaniment, or not necessarily accompaniment. We're basically working on playing double stops and emphasizing different chord tones. Now that is something that you can just implement in your playing. It doesn't have to be a part of just comping someone. It's something that I like to do sometimes. It's just like play a double stop and then play a line and then add another double stop and play another melodic line. Hello, Loon DJs. Okay. That is a little soft. That's also. 7. A. We're back at the top. Hey, Irene. Alright, and so on. So that's one type of hello, Christoph. So that's one type of voice leading that you can practice. You can come up with different types of voice leadings that you can just practice and move along the circle of fifth, or move in different progressions, such as moving down a half step or moving down a whole step. But basically going around the circle of fifth or circle of fourth will make sure that you're going all throughout the 12 keys. Let's think of a different kind of voice leading that we can do with it. So we're thinking about D minor 7, G7, resolving to C major 7. Yeah, let's do something with these seventh intervals. That could be interesting. Oh, I also forgot to pin a comment here. Just make sure people can just read what's happening here if they don't want to listen to the whole thing. So that's not practice session number 2. Where you get to watch my practice routine and ask questions. So we both earn here. Okay. All right, and guys, let me know if you have any questions along the way, things that you'd like me to cover. Now, how do I, okay. So, yeah, I'm taking, we're doing 2/5 progression to a C major 7, and I'm playing 1st degree, 7th degree. Hello, Camille. 1st degree, 7th degree, and then we're doing D and C sharp, which would be sharp 11 and fifth, would be the fifth and sharp 11th of G7, right? Oh, kind of a augmented sound. And we're resolving it into the it's another seventh interval, which would be the third of C major and the ninth of C major. So that's gonna give us a pretty interesting sound. Da, 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 da. Let's try and do that over around the circle of fifth. Circle of fourth, actually. Flat minor, going to D7, B flat 7, sorry, and G flat. B flat minor. F sharp minor 7, B7. Really hard to talk and sing. I think I get confused. We're at the top. Okay. So yeah, these are there are plenty of more stuff you can do with these different voice leadings of these chord progressions. The next stage would be to actually practice that on standards or on any other tune that you'd like to play. Try and take these these voice leadings that you do with intervals, and just instead of applying them just on an exercise, just going around 2 5s in the circle of fourth, or just going 2 5s going down whole steps. The next stage would be to try and apply that in standards and try to play with the intervals on standards that you're practicing. Obviously, we're not gonna have two five progressions all along, unless you're playing the tune "Take Five" by Wes Montgomery, but. But you will the feeling of these different intervals and emphasizing the different voicings of the chords will just get into your fingers. Most of my knowledge of how to play with intervals while I play came just from practicing arpeggios, from knowing all the arpeggios of the different chords really well. So you just kind of remember where is each note, each tension of the chords located on the instrument. So I'm able to improvise with these intervals and try to play along with them as I'm improvising over a jazz standard. But doing these patterns like I practice now, of just doing the voice leading of the 3-7-7-3 to 3-7 of the tonic, is just very useful to get the feeling of it, get the sound into your head, and it will just come out naturally in your playing at some point. So let's try and improvise over a standard and implement these intervals. What standard should I play on? Do you guys have any suggestion? Do we have anyone here with some jazz background? All right, guess I'm gonna have to pick for myself. Let's see. Let's take Just Friends. that was some jamming with those intervals and with this voice leading stuff. So this didn't happen because I was constantly thinking about, oh, I'm playing the 7th degree and the 3rd degree of that chord, and now I'm gonna play and approach, melodic approach, chromatic. Is just happening from muscle memory, is obviously knowing the chord, thinking about the chord changes in my head. But then once I think about the chord changes, I have all these different patterns and different shapes of arpeggios that are in my fingers, and I'm able to combine them. And then sometimes I just hear, like, how one voice could maybe go down and maybe another voice can go up, and that's when I start really improvising with it. But it's mostly just like the most theoretical thing that's happening here is me thinking about the chord changes. Nothing more than that. So don't be intimidated if you think that I was doing all this crazy calculations of, now I'm going to play the 7th degree and 3rd degree of that chord leading to the 3rd and 7th degree of the 5th of the tonic. This is not happening. It's basically just practicing these different progressions, voice leadings of intervals, and emphasizing tensions of the chords rather than the roots or 5th or 3rd of the chord. The third and the 7th in the chord are most important. So if you're able to emphasize them in your interval voice leading, that's gonna sound great. So yeah, practicing arpeggios, and that's basically how you get them under your fingers, and then you're starting to just messing around with them and implementing them in your playing. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and then you fix it, which is part of the artistry of improvising, is knowing how to make a mistake sound like the most hip planned tension you ever planned. All right, folks. So that's enough practicing for today. I mean, 1 hour is not enough, but you should practice more after this session. So great to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check out the Modern Jazz Violin playlist I curate on Spotify. You can get to check out some other cool jazz violinists, contemporary jazz violinists, and I'm going to try and update it every few weeks. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this on a regular basis. Of course, man, my pleasure. Good to see you. Hope things are better in Nigeria. Hopefully they'll be better now as Trump is gone, but the world is going crazy. It's a process. This is how the world works. Everything breaks down, then we rebuild, and then the whole world breaks down again, and then we rebuild, and just keep on doing it. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do this on a weekly basis, probably every Saturday. Great, glad to hear that. So please come back, and you're welcome to send me over any questions that you have before Saturday arrives, things you'd like me to go over, and I'll try to do my best to incorporate that into my practice routine. I'll also remind you that I give private lessons. If you want more personal, to get more personal audit of your playing and your progress, then I also do that. But anyways, you can get a lot of stuff from these live sessions. So I hope I'll see you next week. And that's it. Good night, practice, swing, and drink healthy juices. All right. Good night, folks.